I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode number 118. We're coming to you from Alter Ego Comics in Lima, Ohio. A great comic book store, let's face it. There's just no two ways around it. But anyway, we had some requests last week in our comment section, and we'll try to get to some of those as we move forward here. But we do want to mention a couple bits of comic news. And you're probably aware of this stuff already, but we'll give you our 2 cents. DC Comics announced the cancellation of 4 more titles. Dial H, Demon Knights, Threshold, and Legion of Superheroes. And honestly, I'm not surprised. Everybody needs to remember that DC Comics is a business, and if a book isn't selling, it's going to get canceled. And all of those books were selling less than 15,000 copies. I honestly think Marvel should do the same thing. If you've watched the show for a while, way back we did someone asked us to say what we would do if we were running Marvel in DC. And the thing that I said, especially for Marvel, was to cut their output by about 40%. And I think the same thing applies to DC. I honestly believe that if both of the major publishers cut their output by a significant amount, their sales would go up. You'd have more people buying less books because they can follow more books. Right now, no one can afford to buy every title that DC publishes or Marvel publishes, unlike the glory days of the 1980s when you could buy all 16 different titles in the early 80s that were being published. So if there was a storyline that was running through all of the books, if there was a crossover that jumped into all of the books, you could afford to follow it. Now it's impossible. So I would be happy, even from a financial standpoint as a retailer, to see DC and Marvel cut more books and let the stuff that's selling really well sell even better. Now, unfortunately, that leaves some really good books that are probably going to get the axe. So read good books, people. That's what we're here to tell you to do every week.
I miss you, X Factor.
X Factor's not even gone yet.
But it's canceled.
Yes, X Factor is canceled. I'm sorry. But it's not selling enough copies. All right. So is there any other comic news we want to talk about?
Shield's officially picked up for the fall season.
Run with that.
That's all.
Okay, if you go on the interwebs, you can find about a 3-minute teaser trailer for the new Shield TV series, which hits ABC Tuesdays at 8 p.m. this fall, with the resurrected Agent Coulson in the lead.
Wait, it's running against NCIS? That's a terrible idea.
You know who watches NCIS? 60-year-old women. Anyway,
it's the number one show on TV.
Okay. But Shield, they're anchoring their new. The Tuesday night is all new on ABC. It sounds like I'm a shill for ABC. Tuesday night is all new on ABC, leading off with Shield. First episode directed by Joss Whedon, and that trailer looks incredibly cool. I think all Marvel people are going to be truly excited. And I was thinking yesterday, as I often do, I believe that the Shield TV series is the first Marvel primetime series since The Incredible Hulk. I can't think of any other Marvel live-action series in prime time since Bill Bixby was the Incredible Hulk in the early 1980s. That's just astonishing. DC has tried a number of things, most successfully Smallville, most unsuccessfully Birds of Prey, and Arrow apparently is very successful on the CW, but a successful show on the CW would be canceled on that Spanish channel that no one watches.
Telemundo?
So, yeah. So that's our comic news update. Hope you liked it. My first book this week is Dream Thief, #1. This is by Jay Nitz and Greg Smallwood, and this one caught me completely by surprise. I didn't have a chance to review it ahead of time before placing my order, but was able to see just a couple preview pages, and the concept sounded really cool. It's about a guy who, it's very much like The Mask, in a way, the Jim Carrey movie, which is based on a Dark Horse comic book. Guy is at a museum, he's drinking with his buddy, he wakes up the next morning and he has this tribal mask on his face and other people's memories flooding into his brain, and there's a dead body, and he thinks that he killed the person. So, and we're often running from there. But that's actually towards the end of the book. You get to know this character a lot going forward. So, to me, this feels like an Ed Brubaker book. This had Brubaker written all over it, but it's not written by Brubaker. So if you're a fan of Criminal, if you're a fan of Fatale, if you're a fan of crime stories that have some superhero element or supervillain element, you really want to check it out. The artwork by Greg Smallwood is very good. A lot of times with the independent books, you either have strong writing or strong artwork and not both. But more recently, with things like Saga and East of West, a lot of the independent books are having equally strong writing and artwork, and Dream Thief falls into that category. So if you're looking for an indie book to take a chance on this week, Dream Thief is the one to go with.
All right, next up I've got Ultimate Spider-Man number 23, written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by David Marquez. This is the first part of the Spider-Man No More storyline. And of course it has an awesome homage cover to the classic Spider-Man No More storyline, and amazing. What can we say about Ultimate Comics Spider-Man that we haven't already said? What I really like, beyond the fact that it's just good every month, is that it continues to find ways to surprise us. You know what? The book's been out for a month. Bad things happened at the end of the last issue that caused Miles to no longer be Spider-Man, to throw away the costume, to rip apart the costume, actually. And this book picks up 1 year later. So we see he's not been active as Spider-Man for, we assume, approximately a year. And we see where his life's at. And it's a little different. It's very cool to see the things that changed and the things that didn't. We still get a lot of his side cast, Genki and...
Katie Bishop.
Katie Bishop is his lady friend.
It's his girlfriend.
Yeah, she girlfriend. And then we also see his father and the effects. Obviously, last time we saw his father, he was in the hospital after getting tore up by Venom, or shot by a guy, or no, yeah, he was hurt by Venom. Mom was killed by a cop accidentally. Oh, spoiler alert! That was last month. Deal with it. Come in every month.
Could have been 2 weeks ago. I don't know.
No, that was last month. I'm pretty sure.
Which would have been last month.
There you go. But no, Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. This is a this is a decent jumping on point. Realize as long as you have the forward information that he's just stopped being Spider-Man, and you can pick it up, and it's just really good. I mean, every month Bendis knocks it out of the park. The characterization, it just makes Miles likable, but in different ways than Peter is, which is key to carrying the book, and it's just still awesome.
It really is. We got a question many episodes ago. Which 3 ongoing titles would you read if you were stranded on Desert Island? Which doesn't make sense because I don't know how I'm going to get the next issues on the Desert Island.
On your iPad.
No way. I only read print. But Ultimate Comic Spider-Man is one. If I could only pick 3 books to read for the rest of my life, Ultimate Comic Spider-Man would be on that list, as long as Bendis is still writing it. All right, we'll stick with Marvel. Next up for me is Iron Man number 10. This is The Secret Origin of Tony Stark, Part 1. The last issue was the Prelude. This is the Quaalude. This is the first issue, the first part, written by Kieran Gillen, artwork by Dale Eaglesham, and it's very, very cool. We haven't really seen anything that throws Tony for a loop in a while, since probably the Most Wanted storyline. I mean, there have been other little things here and there, but this looks like it's going to be pretty major for Iron Man and Tony Stark. We find out that there are maybe aliens involved with the conception and birth of Tony Stark. We meet Stark 7, which is kind of like Ocean's 11, where Tony Stark goes around and gathers up, Howard Stark, his father, goes around and gathers up kind of a who's who of covert teams, including Dum Dum Dugan and General Thunderbolt Ross. And this was back in the 1950s, I assume. 1950s, yeah, probably 50s, wouldn't you say? Yeah. And they have a heist in Las Vegas, and it's related to Baby Tony. So if you are a fan of Iron Man, this is a great jumping on point. If you've never read Iron Man comic books, check it out. If you have been away from Iron Man for a while, come back. It's really, really good. Kieran Gillen's doing a great job with his Marvel work. And Eaglesham's artwork is really cool. I like most of what he does, and it's nice to see him jump on for this story arc. Good stuff.
My next pick this week is Nova number 4, written by Jeff Loeb with art by Ed McGuinness. And Nova's another book that we continue to praise, and it's excellent.
And you continue not to buy. Thank you.
Sorry.
We continue to heap praise on it, and the numbers are stagnant. Come on.
It's got Chitauri. What more do you want? So this picks up, we start to see that some of the things, I was going to call him Nova, but his actual name is... Sam
Alexander.
Sam Alexander, there we go. Some of the stories that Sam's dad has told him, we're now seeing them told from a different point of view, possibly a lying, cheating bastard point of view. But one of Sam's father's former Nova compatriots shows up and is sort of a villain-type character and is questioning, whether his father was actually a noble Nova or whether he was a dirty, cheating loser. And it's really cool because you get, what you expect, the story of Sam trying to stand up for his father, but we know full well that 2 issues ago Sam had no faith in his father anyway, so it's great to see that kind of moral quandary in the boy and his kind of crisis of faith, all the while punching aliens and flying about, and there's an ultimate nullifier, and it's just so much fun. It's a great adventure story. It's great that it's a story that I can read without knowing about 18 other things going on in the Marvel Universe. The character is relatively new. The tie-in stuff is pretty much secluded to this book, so you can enjoy it without having all the other stuff going on. It's just great to have a nice one-off book that you can read.
Finally, this week for me, Battlestar Galactica #1 from Dynamite. This is written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, the architects of Marvel Space before they left and Bendis took over. Illustrated by Cesar Razek. I don't know who this guy is, but he draws pretty pictures. Anyway, Battlestar Galactica was a staple of my TV watching youth. Even though it was only on, I think it was 2 seasons or a season and a half, and it was a blatant Star Wars ripoff, at least in the beginning. In fact, the special effects guys that worked on Star Wars jumped ship and went to work for Battlestar Galactica. So it looked really cool. It had cool laser sound effects, and the Cylons with the eye thingy going back and forth. Anyway, most of you are familiar with the current incarnation of Battlestar Galactica, where the Cylons looked human, and was an incredibly awesome series. If you haven't watched it, check it out on Netflix or someplace where it's streaming, or buy the DVDs. Anyway, Battlestar Galactica, the original series, this picks up, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's somewhere during the first season, but it really doesn't matter. In fact, you don't need to know anything about the TV show to enjoy this book, because a lot of it is laid out for you in the first issue. I'm kind of having difficulty not comparing this to the Dark Horse Star Wars comic that Brian Wood is doing, because they feel very similar. They're both taking these older licensed concepts that have been put through the ringer a number of times and breathing new life into them with top list writers. Brian Wood on Star Wars and Abnett and Lanning on Battlestar Galactica, and they know their space stuff. They know how to write good dialogue. They know how to write intriguing characters, and that's what we get in this first issue. So first off, if you're a Battlestar Galactica fan of the original series, you absolutely want to pick this one up. If you're a casual fan or not familiar with it, but you're interested in space-type stuff with robots and spaceships and humans, you should check it out too. I really liked it. Looking forward to the next issue.
Yeah, I'd never seen the original version of the show, and I enjoyed it. I followed it fine, so they did a good job relaunching there. Except we've got Wolverine and the X-Men #29. I jumped about a bit there. Written by Jason Aaron with art by Ramon Perez. And we've finally come out of the Savage Land storyline, but we're starting to see some of the fallout from that. Essentially, Wolverine gives his sort of a pep talk or an address as they are burying a time capsule at the school, so he gets to kind of talk about that a bit, and you see kind of a lot of the cast there for the reception. You see their reactions to it. And then we jump ahead 25 years to when, in the future, to when the time capsule is opened at the Jean Grey School. And it's very cool. I'm a sucker for time travel stories. I like even older Logan, see how the characters change. And I like, especially when they do it like this, where you just have one issue, a jump up, so they can tease little things and make little cool jokes, references to different characters. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a very uplifting, cool book. It's a Wolverine book that's not drugged down by melodrama and stabbing, and Wolverine and the X-Men is awesome every month, or every 2 weeks, depending on how Marvel's feeling.
That's it for this week. Lots of cool stuff to check out at your local comic book store right here at Alter Ego. I do want to mention a couple events that we've got going on the week of May 20th. On Wednesday, May 22nd, Lima native Mark Miller is coming back to the store. He is writing comic books for a bunch of different people right now, and his newest comic is a Grimm Fairy Tales tie-in from Zenescope called Werewolves the Hunger. First issue comes out on the 22nd. He will be here on the 22nd to sign copies of that, as well as some of his previous work, including The Jungle Book, other Grimm Fairy Tales stuff, and Nanny and Hank. And then on Friday, May 20, I'm sorry, that's from 2 to 5, I should say. Mr. Miller will be here. Not to be confused with Mark Millar, the Scottish guy who wrote Civil War. We had that happen once. Somebody thought it was him, brought in a copy of Civil War. It's very embarrassing. But also the week of the 20th, Friday, May 24th at 7 p.m., right here in the store, we're doing a screening of a documentary called Superheroes, which premiered on HBO a few years ago and has gone through the film festival circuit. It was shown at the Northwest Ohio Independent Film Festival. I believe it was the inaugural film festival 2 years ago. So this is a benefit for the Northwest Ohio Film Festival, which is taking place in September this year. So we're going to be showing the documentary Superheroes starting at 7 o'clock. Tickets are $10, and the proceeds go towards the film festival. And we hope you'll come out and see this very fascinating documentary, actually produced by Theodore James, who's a Wapakoneta native. Wapak is our neighbor in Lima. And it's really cool. It's kind of like Kick-Ass, but true story, people who actually dress up in costume as heroes, not the people you see at Mann's Chinese Theater, but the people who actually are on the street trying to prevent crimes dressed as heroes. So what compels these people to do it? Should they be locked in a padded cell? And how cool could it be? So it looks really cool. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but we hope you'll come out and join us for that. Superheroes, May 24th at 7 p.m., and then come and see Mark Miller on Wednesday as well. Lots of cool stuff happening. You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
No cool stuff happening with Josh this week.
Don't touch Lola.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.